think the scariest thing in every change, specifically when we are on a path to authenticity, to be who we are, I think the biggest fear is losing people around you, is losing connection to those who are already present in your life. Family, friends, like closest circle. And for me, that was the main obstacle. And frankly, I believe different people resolve this in a different way. What I've heard, what I observed, is that quite often it goes through the conflict. Some, I think, they trying how to phrase it, because honestly, I don't know how other people feel, and what I observe is it's private conversations, it's some books, memoirs, whatever, podcasts, whatever. So I feel like the judgment is still present. Like, if we're detaching from something, normally it goes with judgment. And specifically for me, the biggest challenge was to figure out how to detach, not to be entangled, not to be tied down to certain people in my life while maintaining love for them. And obviously it depends on a person. However, I feel like I'm succeeding. I haven't succeeded fully yet, and I'm not sure if this process, I think this could be a lifelong process of improving relationships with others. But I am pretty successful in my progress towards maintaining this caring appreciation of others, and being fully myself. And frankly, that is the detachment that I was aiming for. I have always been aiming for detachment, yet for so many years I didn't know how to do that, and I was entangled deeply into family dynamics, romantic relationships, friendships, and the only thing that worked for me was just hiding from everyone, running away from everyone, like literally moving to different city or different area of the city, whatever. Sorry about that. So the biggest fear quite often is to lose people that we love and that we care about. That is stopping us from, I think, trusting the change. For me, it was mostly about, what if I fail and lose everything? So I had quite a few experiences in my life regarding that. So earlier in my 20s, and 30s, I think I was resisting any change. And I was holding on to what is. And that caused me a lot of emotional struggle and pain and led to, I'm not saying that is the thing that led me to depression, but it ended up in a very low emotional state. And then I think I started detaching from, first of all, I wanted detachment from pain, from the actual discomfort that I accumulated by that time, by the time that I was in my 30s. And when I kind of balanced myself to not hurting that much, like more like a previous state, pre-depression state, I realized that I'm not happy with things that are just pulling my attention, I would say, pulling my focus. And I detached from many things. I detached from some bad habits like smoking and drinking. I detached from consuming a lot of content like Netflix and binge watching series and everything. So basically, at some point in my life, I started detaching from everything that was pulling me towards it and was unproductive. And by unproductive, I mean, okay, so like smoking or drinking, even socially, is just not help. I mean, it's not doing anything good. It may feel good to a certain degree for a short while, but it wasn't good. Same with movies and television and whatever. And then I realized that my biggest attachment, that was people who are closest to me, people that I loved. In detaching from the ones that I love, I think that was the riskiest part of it all, because no one, I wouldn't say no one does it, but I have never heard anyone sharing this experience. Like, I detached from people that I love and I still love them and I still have a relationship with them. Is just different, and I just have a capacity to live my own life and be authentic. So what I've heard were the stories of people cutting other people off and never talking to them again, or not talking to other people for years. So I've heard stories like that. I've never seen a story like mine. And again, it's not the final destination. Like, it's not that I arrived and this is how things will always be. And I cannot say what would happen. And frankly, if I had to guess, I would say that right now, what I feel right now is that I finally am separate. I'm not blending with others. I'm not dissolving in others. I'm not losing myself in others yet. I see them more clearly, and that means their value, their beauty, everything. But it is also more sober. Like, I have less ideas that I bring into communication about the person. Like, I imagine less. I'm not saying that I am seeing clearly and it's all just like, I'm not saying this is a perfect state. I'm evolving constantly, and I see life as a constant process of evolution and learning and growing in communication too. Like, not only I'm not doing it to be isolated and amazing, I'm doing it to communicate and build something with others, like making connections healthier, making relationship healthier, more fulfilling. So my life is fulfilling. It could be built in, like, not a complete isolation, obviously, but to a certain degree, just by myself, just by my own effort. But it cannot be like fully fulfilling if I'm not connecting, and that's clear. But my understanding, my authenticity, my connection to myself, this is actually the basis. I cannot connect if I don't know this. What am I connecting from if I don't know who I am? And that was kind of the case for most of my life, and specifically because of the social construct. And I think this is something that is pretty specific to women. However, I've seen quite a few men, and like men who choose to care, they lose them part of themselves too. So I think it's more of a human way of caring, yet women take that role, like take it more often and dedicate more to that. It's like built in an idea what it's like to be a woman, pretty deeply. And it is a good feeling to, like, love and care that's built into you. But I also think it's built into everyone. But men may not, let's say, use that function, that human setting. They may use it less if they choose to, and if they choose a certain path of ideas about masculinity. But those men who choose to care, they also, again, from what I have seen, they may also lose some of their authority over their lives, and they're merging with their family, and they give up on what they love. They never pursue what they love or prioritize it. And when a person does it, regardless of who they are, man, woman, they and I'll speak about how I felt it. So it feels like the pull towards all people that you care about, and that pull is the strongest. Like, it's too intense. It gives really high emotion when things are working, and hits you hard when things are not working. But the problem is that it creates demand. Like, if I am not like expressing as my true self fully, if I'm not doing all the things that are embedded in me as interests, as part of me. I'm trying out to outsource that. Like I seek that fulfillment from others, and that creates this tension, this pull. And basically what I did, I demanded others to be present for me. I demanded others to make my life better in a certain way. It depends on a person, the situation. But I literally, like in my case, what I learned, and frankly, I believe this could be true for many, people just don't pay attention to that. And I didn't either, but what I noticed is that I fell in love and I built relationships around something that was about me, like some interest that I was neglecting, some trait that I needed to develop, some fear that I needed to overcome. I felt the strongest pull towards the person who embodies that I want to have in my life. And I was holding on to them. I was dragging them into my life, saying, hey, please stay with me, be with me. I want to feel that. I want that. So I was hungry for that feeling that they gave me. But what I learned with every new relationship is that those people, they were covering part of me that was lacking, but I needed it badly. And what I learned helped me, because frankly, dragging other person into your life because you want to, it never works. It never works. So because it didn't work, I figured out at some point, that, okay, so if I figure out what I actually like in them, could be a certain talent, could be a certain character trait, could be anything, some skills, some, I don't know, how they do things, how they approach life, kindness even, support for the family, whatever it is they embody. If I like them, if I want to spend more time with them, and I feel this pull, like I'm missing them, I want to be there. If I figured out what exactly I liked and I implemented that or healed that in myself, or adopted that or developed that or start doing that, whatever that was, then the attachment was gone. And this is how it works for me. Yet then there's another question. How do I build connections? How do I love, right? But this new way of connecting, it's different, specifically because I don't need people. It's not based on lack, like give me that thing that you have and I don't. It's not based on lack, it's based on something else. I don't have like all the answers right now. But where I am now is that I clearly feel this differentiation. This is me. This is another human being. I see them more clearly because I don't bring my expectations on them as an idea. I don't project anything. Well, at least as much as I did. Maybe I'd still project something. But I don't feel the pull, and this is interesting. So my whole system was so used to translating this attachment as a true relationship that there's a part of me that right now feels emptiness and a little bit spooked in a way that, am I losing connection? If I feel us as a separate human beings, yet still appreciating just exactly as I wanted. I'm not entangled. I don't feel like my whole attention and like my focus is out there. Like I have my time, I have my focus, I have my energy, yet I still have that human being in my life and in front of me. But it feels differently. And at first I was a little bit scared, like, what does it mean? It means the upgrade of how I connect. And it's not based on the attachment anymore. Is there a chance that I will drift away and like, is there a chance that some connections will drift apart? There is, I think. But also, I think in this case, I will be able to maintain what I always wanted to maintain to, and that is separation without bitterness or judgment or any type of discomfort, like with the same love and care and appreciation. Just there will be more distance if that happens. Not necessarily. That's not the goal. The goal was to have the capacity to live my own life without dissolving into other people's needs and lives, because it's not that they always need me like for real. And I think this is, if I look at it from more of a global perspective and how people build relationships, what I observe among friends and just wherever, right? So in podcasts or movies or books, quite often people, like this entanglement is the reason of fights. And frankly, some people lose their lives. And people think this isn't the norm. But what I'm trying to test, and again, it's not that I have the end goal, it's just I have the direction, how I want to feel. I want to love people and not being entangled to a degree that I'm hurt when I'm losing them. It's like I'm losing part of my body. I think it's not quite healthy. I think it creates demands. I think it creates rejection. I think it creates a lot of pain within the dynamic. And if we were more of like respectful to the freedom of choice of the other person, and that doesn't mean allowing them to be whatever they want, or let's say, often I have this question about relationships. When I say I'm all about freedom of choice, people understand it as an open relationship. People understand it as polyamorous relationship. For me, no. For me, it's the highest way of monogamy. I don't need a piece of paper issued by the government to tie that person to me. I require the level of a relationship that where the word of the person means more than any piece of paper could. And if that person cannot hold their choice to be with me, and they will be pulled towards something else. Why would I ever be mad? I would respect their choice, but simultaneously, would I allow them to go back and forth between me and someone? No. I will create a boundary and say, okay, you choose someone else, God bless. But I want them to expect them to respect their choice. And I will respect their choice simultaneously. And I treat my choices as such. If I choose someone, this freedom of choice, this like firmness and clarity of choice, for me that means if I care, I'm determined to figure out how to make it work. It may work as a closer connection, or it may work as a more distant connection as we go, as we get to know each other. And people translate it as, oh, I must be unsure. No, I'm respectful. So if I see that another person is not sure, or if at some point I figure out something about myself, I think it's better to build honest friendship rather than dishonest marriage or dishonest partnership. That's all. And I trust that there is a person who can be clear in their choices. And that's my requirement for myself too. Is it something that was easily given to me, something that was innate? No. I worked towards that. I was, like many other people, I was torn between choices. I was impressed by different types of people, not and confused. Confused with the criteria, like how do I choose, what do I prioritize. I just played that game, and I don't like it. I think, again, getting back to what actually works is when you know who you are, it's easier to make choices. And it's not about so previously I thought that discernment is about allowing only one person, that one special someone in your life, and everyone else stay away. Not necessarily. So it makes, now I see that it's possible to find room for a certain amount of people. Definitely not everyone, but it doesn't need to be. Like, I'm not let's take another example. I think that even the person who is, let's say, a teacher or a wise person, and what they create is helpful for many, let's say thousands or hundreds. Close relationships is something else. And it's not only that one person cannot accommodate like thousands of people. It's more like it won't be as useful as those thousands think it would be. So this is why I don't quite get like people who are like dedicated fans, like too much of, and I've been on that side too. I've been a fan. Maybe I'll have to maybe that is a story for some other time. So I know how that feels, but that's also an attachment. And frankly, I think like for me it feels almost the same. It's just different flavor of attachment. I'm either paying too much attention to something that's not even in my life, or I'm paying too much attention to something that is in my life to a certain degree. But yes, but that intention is not in what I bring into this world, and that is also valuable. So people who prioritize other people, it's a honorable thing. I mean, it's a good thing. But again, if you're healthy and someone else is dying in front of you, please, like, it's reasonable to prioritize that. But not everyone is in crisis. Not everyone needs like that type of support that we are used to giving to each other. And I definitely need to learn about that a lot, because my context is my context, my story is my story, and my path. Um, I'm just exploring life, and I come from entanglement in family dynamics that completely confused me and, let's say, disabled my ability of knowing where, like, what's my potential, what do I want to do in my life. So at some point I was very much lost. And I'm not saying it's my family's fault. What I'm saying is that was my choice to blend with them and prioritize them so much that it affected me. And now I'm learning that I don't have to cut people off. I can still love and be present and have a relationship, yet feel in a different way. So that's exactly what I needed in my life. I'm curious to learn, though, about cultures that are built on strong family structures. And I just realized that that could be cultures that are actually not doing that well economically. And that could actually be, that could hold some connection. But for now, I just wanted to share my experience on this moment of achieving something that I clearly needed. What is next for me? I think a new capacity to build relationships, new depth, to a degree that I can now learn about people more easily. Like the entanglement and attachment doesn't dilute my attention, doesn't create the fog. So I have more clarity, and I can use that clarity to support others better, to be more present. And that is also a skill, so I will be learning that. But that's an interesting thing to explore.